Welcome to another In Wheel Time podcast. Welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Tim Winton on the stewardship of owning a classic car. He'll say it the way we call it, stewardship, in just a moment. We'll get to talk to him. In Jeff's car culture, it's all about size. And Mike has spring break destinations. Woo-hoo. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars. We always need more Jeff Zekin and Chief Engineer David Ainsley. I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could join us. Right now it's sunny here in the Houston area where we broadcast this show from. We're on the live segment of it right now on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. Central Time, which is we normally do that every weekend, every Saturday.
Yep.
If you're listening on a podcast, we thank you for doing that. And we are going to start the show from across the pond this morning. And we have with us now a fellow by the name of Tim Winton. He is the founder of Cambrian Classics, a family-run business that specializes in classic car repair and servicing and is located by the beautiful come on, Tim, help me.
Ceredigion.
Ceredigion.
Just like it's spelled.
Yeah, it's not spelled that way at all. So this isn't something that I would bring my 1982 Buick Regal into to get it to serviced by you. It's mainly English cars, correct?
Yes, I mean we do pre-1980 vehicles all the way back to pre-war. So if it's got a carburetor, basically in the UK, you know, a big part of the classic car world is British sports cars. We're MG specialists in the first instance. That's how myself and a number of the guys that work for me came to doing this, was through MGs. So that's sort of our deepest knowledge base. But we do a lot of British marques and even quite a lot of air-cooled Volkswagen and other European makes, Alfa Romeo, things like that.
How long have you been doing this?
This company's been going for about 5 years, but I've been very involved. I've run the local MG club for about 15 years, roughly, and they've been a hobby for a long time, doing my own cars, restoration projects, buying and selling and things like that. And then it sort of naturally evolved into doing it for other people in the club, and slowly but surely I just got quite busy doing it and thought, oh well, let's give it a go doing it professionally. I worked in the motor trade, just not doing classic cars up until that point anyway. I was a workshop manager in a local Renault dealer, and then worked in a motor factory selling tools and parts to garages. So I built up a lot of contacts through doing those two things. And I got to a point where it life got busy, and I was like, well, I had to either choose doing old cars or I've got to stop between children coming along and everything else. Sure. So I decided to go with the old cars.
I believe that you called it Renault. And of course, I come from a school where we called it Renault.
Right.
You'll have to forgive me there. So tell me about, just to regress here for a moment. What's the difference between a French car and an English car?
Fundamentally, not a lot. I mean, they're all basis on a theme. I mean, if you go back to really early stuff, then there's greater differences. But for the most part, things have distributors and brake shoes and valves and pistons, and they're all variation on a theme. But with classic vehicles, you know, there are certain technologies and principles applied then that have changed over time. So, you know, tuning a carburetor on a Renault 8 compared to this Humber, general principles still apply.
Sure.
You know, with tuning, mixture, making sure the spark is good, etc. So,
I guess that all I could think of is the engineering of all of that stuff seems to be a bit different from the good old boys there in England as opposed to the French.
Can be, yes. There were different ways of doing things, and you know, especially some of the French cars, they were quite innovative in the way that they designed things. British cars were a little bit more reserved in that regard. The Citroen suspension, for example, is often mentioned. It's very, very different.
Right.
So you just got to be aware of those things. But we had an Alpha GT Junior in last year, and that was side draft Webers. Seen those plenty of times before. With points distributor, and it's just, as I say, small variations on a theme with every car. And by the time you've seen 100 variations, it's not that alien.
Yeah.
So, Tim, tell me about your shop. You said you've got some folks that work with you. How many employees do you have? And it looks like a pretty decent sized shop there.
Yeah, well, it's soon to get a lot bigger, but I'll come back to that in a second. We have, there's 5 of us in total at the moment. There's myself, who I do, I do the fixing. But as time goes on, that seems to get less and less. But there's my wife then, who does part-time, does a lot of the admin stuff in the background. I've got Jeremy, who is a semi-retired, does about 3 days a week. A lot of experience with the vintage pre-war cars. So that's quite, it's very useful knowledge base in that area. I've got a full-time apprentice, Joel, who has been with me about 8 months now, and he's learning really well, really keen. He's just turned 19, big into classic cars, and he commutes to work in his MGB. So that's of course a good sign when he came for the interview, that one. And then there's someone else then, Ayla, who comes in for doing ad hoc welding fabrication as and when we need an extra pair of hands. This workshop then is close to my house. We've got there's another room just off camera there, like a single car room for doing welding and fabrications. We have a separate room for that. Keeps the dust and the noise down.
Sure.
Because when you're doing engines and carburetors, the last thing you want is sparks and dust and mud and filler and all of that.
Do you do full restorations?
Yes, but not very often. We have more than enough to do doing servicing and repair and keeping them tuned and doing carburetor rebuilds and doing, say, a sill replacement or a wing or doing some, general welding repairs. We have done a few restorations and there is a car on a rotisserie outside. But we find there's just so much of this repair work at the moment. We just don't have space and time to do the larger restorations. So that's kind of where we stick. And we're good at fault finding and carburetor tuning and running and getting the best out of them. So we tend to sort of improve running cars. And I think increasingly, so many cars have been restored now or are on the road, and a lot of recommissioning as well, actually. Cars that are good but have been parked for 5 to 10 to 20 years, we have recommissioned. And bringing those cars back onto the road again is quite a long process.
When was the last MG built?
That's an interesting question. What do you class as an MG?
I'm sorry?
What do you class as an MG? Because you can go into a showroom and go and buy one now. But they're made by a Chinese company.
I'm sure that somebody else is probably taking the reins, but I'm talking about the classic MG. The MGB is the one over here that was the most popular, and there were thousands of them around.
Yes, loads and loads of them. So the MGB is the one that I own, and we do a lot of. They stopped production in 1980, and the accompanying shaped midget sort of was an extra year or so past that. They used the MG name on stuff in the 80s and then in the 90s, and now the name's got sold to a Chinese company. They make modern cars.
Right.
So, people's opinion of what MG varies. And so there are some that I know that go, well, there's no real MG sort of after the late 40s because they became part of BMC and therefore it's not MG anymore.
Is that a bug eye behind you? Is that a
this one?
The green one. Is it a green one? Yeah.
This one, no, it's a Triumph TR5.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the one that's directly behind you on the lift?
On the ramp, it's a Humber Hawk. It's quite a rare thing now. Someone told me there's only 10 left on the road in the UK.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
What year is that model?
That one I think is a 61. I think.
Great. Wow.
It's a 2.3 liter 4-cylinder. It's a Roots Group car, so That's like Sunbeam Alpine and Sunbeam Humber. That group of
subcompact.
manufacturers.
Yeah. What is your favorite car to work on? I know these are random questions, but these are random cars for us.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, this, although it's got quite a lot of American styling to this, obviously.
Yes,
it's not
it does.
something-
I can see that.
Yeah. For me, I've done so many MGs that we're really good at them, but I do it all the time. So for me, there's an element of novelty, but I do really like big Healeys. So an Austin Healey like 106, or I really enjoyed doing the Alpha Junior last year, again, just because it was something a little bit different. This Triumph actually was a really nice drive. It's had a few modifications to it, and that's a surprisingly nice one to drive. Yeah.
What is the number
So many.
one? What is the number one service thing that you do at your shop? Obviously, oil changes and the regular maintenance stuff, but is there anything in particular that goes right to the MG brand?
Things to look out for on an MGB, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, aside from the normal sort of tires and
Yes.
that type of thing, one of the most overlooked things with an MGB is a lack of lubrication of the steering rack. They're meant to be oil filled, and they rarely are. I get phone calls all the time. Oh, I'd like power steering fitted to my MGB, and my usual reaction is, "What's wrong with it?" Because mostly they are an easy car to drive. Usually they have too lower tire pressures, over too bigger tires, a tiny racing steering wheel, no oil in the steering rack, under lubricated suspension, and people think that's how they are. So experience of old cars is quite a useful thing. Is I can get into one and go, that gear stick's that gear selector's missing the bushing. These brakes are not as good as they should be. I've got a basis for comparison because I drive and have repaired so many to be able to drive one and go, whoa, that's not right. That could be better.
How far away do your customers come for your knowledge and experience to your shop?
Don't know how familiar your listeners are to the size of the country of Wales, but I have customers from all four corners of Wales, so that's probably 100 miles, something like that. I get
impressive.
quite a few customers come from Dublin as well. So Ireland, across the Irish Sea, there's a couple of regular ferries, and I've got some customers that bring cars over from Dublin then for me to repair. I repair them, and then they come back again and take them away.
You're kind of like your favorite barber. You've been going to him for 18 years. Even though I live 75 miles away, I'm going to plan the day to go over there and have you look at the car. You've got those customers. Yes,
definitely. And as time goes on, we're just getting busier and busier. So we have a lot of great Google reviews, and it's exponentially growing the business. I started off just myself, and in 5 years there's 5 of us, and we've completely outgrown this place. I'm about to move to a big workshop, hopefully, fingers crossed, in about a month.
Is it going to be right on the coast, right there where the great big cliffs are, and you watch the big storms come in? And here's the other question, the follow-up question to that is, do you know Tom Jones?
I was going to ask that before we got out of here.
No. I don't. I don't.
Because I don't have a direct connection with him, but I am kind of in the entertainment business from afar. And I was thinking, I'll just make a little phone call and say, hey, we know this guy. Take your car to him.
Well, yeah. If he's got a classic car, send him this way. But so I mean, if I open those doors, if you stood at the end of in the driveway, you can just about see the sea. So sort of through the trees.
Basically on the coast, then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Right on the coast.
Apparently,
So Wales is in the middle has got a big bay called Cardigan Bay, and we're right in the middle of that, just overlooking the coast.
Is that where cardigan sweaters came from?
Quite possibly.
I just thought I'd throw that out there.
It's not in my field of expertise, that one.
You are the only one that does what you do. There's not like you don't have a competitor in the area or in Wales.
Not directly. There's lots of places that will repaint your classic car. So a body shop is a body shop. A metal panel is a metal panel. It's got rust holes in it on a an 80-year-old car or a 10-year-old car, you chop the metal out, you put new metal in, you paint it. So there's lots of places that will paint them, and it's quite obvious sometimes when the cars come in that this restoration has been a body shop restoration. They've put the worn out suspension back onto the shiny car, and that's kind of the bit that we do, is that mechanical improvement,
Right.
improving the performance and the reliability of the car, and getting people's also, if people don't use them, they become more unreliable, and when they're unreliable, people use them less, and they become more unreliable, and eventually they get parked in the shed.
What is the highest mileage car that you have worked on and that is still on the road today that you know of?
I owned a 300,000-mile Mercedes at one point.
Okay, that's great.
A 190.
Wow.
That car was incredible. That was it. It was belonged to someone in my wife's family, and
What year model was that?
it was a 91 Mercedes 2-liter 190e. It had the original clutch, the original shocks.
Oh my God, the original clutch?
You
Yeah,
didn't have any
yeah.
kids driving that one.
No, he just drove up and down the motorway. It was a business. He bought it. He had a printing business. It was her grandfather's, and he had a printing business. And he used to just drive up and down the M4 all the time. And it was remarkable. I mean, after that kind of mileage, it wasn't in the first flush of youth, but it was a fun car a long time ago for me. I think I had that when I was 20 or 21 or something. I'm now 40, so it's a while ago, but that was an eye-opener as to old cars and what they can do.
Tim, we could sit here and we could talk to you all day.
Yeah, I got lots of questions here.
Bizarre, crazy questions. I can't believe those guys over there in America have asked me these questions. But
well, the cardigan thing caught me off guard. Yeah.
Well, I will say the cardigan. Yeah, I'm sure it did. The only thing that I can think of, I love British humor. I always have, and I know that you guys have a great sense of humor, and I'm sure that you can appreciate some of my stupid, crazy questions. But I had to ask them anyway. But it's great to talk to you and have you on the show with us. Can we call you back sometime and say, hey, what's going on? What do you got in the shop?
Yeah, sure. Yes,
Yeah,
no problem at all.
All right,
Yeah.
so we're going to do that. The founder of Cambrian Classics, Tim Winton, over there in West Wales, and it's a real pleasure and honor to talk to you, and we appreciate you today.
No, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank your team for us.
Yes, please do.
Will do.
All right, just ahead, Jeff's car culture. Oh, yes, it is really about size. And Mr. Mars has 5 spring break destinations. And maybe, something else too. I don't even know. It's after this on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We'll be right back. The Tailpipes and Tacos renowned cruise in expands to Beaumont. Golden Triangle cruisers will want to experience Tailpipes and Tacos at the Loopy Tortilla, I-10 South in Beaumont near Washington Boulevard. Grab free Loopy breakfast tacos with any donation to Shirley's Kids. Enjoy a coffee or an adult beverage. Every cruise-in vehicle is automatically entered to win one of the beautiful Chili Pepper trophies for Best Hot Rod, Classic, and Modern Classic. Tailpipes and Tacos Beaumont happens Saturday morning, March 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. If you're a car geek like we are, this is the event you'll want to attend. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be online live, and you may be interviewed about your ride. Tailpipes and Tacos Beaumont Edition, Saturday, March 21st, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Loopy Tortilla, 2050 I-10 South in Beaumont. The Katy Tailpipes and Tacos happens Easter Saturday, April 4th, 8 to 11. The free Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In is a production of Loopy Tortilla Tex-Mex, Beaumont, and Katy. Tastes pretty good. Apple or Android, In Wheel Time podcast can be found everywhere, on the stream and through downloads. Whether you're on the road or at home and jonesing for a different kind of car talk show, give In Wheel Time a try. Honest new car reviews, fun, informative interviews with real car people, weekly automotive news, features like Jeff's Car Culture and Mike's Driving Destinations, all on In Wheel Time. Check us out on SiriusXM Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or while you're shopping on Amazon, through Amazon Music. InWheelTime.com has a list, and we know you love lists. I want you to join us 10 to noon Central Time every Saturday for our live show about all things automotive. And we thank you for being with us today. And by the way, speaking of that, I wanted to remind you that next week we'll have a 3-hour, a bonus hour next week. We'll be coming to you from Team Gilman Mega Meet 2K26. That's Saturday, March 14th, 10 to 2. We're going to be doing a live broadcast from there. We hope you join us. It's up at 18202 North Freeway. You'll hear the commercial. All right, time now for Jeff's car culture. Size matters, ...
Yeah.
when it comes to parking spaces.
Parking spaces. Well, parking space dimensions are relatively standard across the country, but they can vary slightly depending on the local laws and regulations. Standard parking space dimensions across America are between 7.5 feet and 9 feet and of the width, and 16 feet to 20 feet in length, or what they call depth. So parking space dimensions, seemingly relative straightforward at a glance. There are several things they consider that affect the final layout of a parking lot. Parking lot size affects the maximum number of spaces that you can put under the different layouts. Many parking lots use perpendicular parking to try to fit as many spaces in the lot as possible. It's like putting a butt in a seat at a theater or something. You got to get them in there. Perpendicular designs are especially common in high traffic areas like grocery stores and department stores. However, there's also times when a parking lot is too large for the number of people using it. Having the highest possible number of spaces only matters in a parking lot if it sees enough traffic to fill those spaces. So you can actually overbuild a parking lot. This parking is somewhat dangerous and requires wider aisles, so it's often possible to use different configurations in a large lot. While most people are familiar with perpendicular or 90-degree parking, many are the other angles and choices that can be designed and are in use. 30-degree parking spaces work well on one-way roads. Two-sided parking array at this angle is 44 feet 8 inches across in total. 12 feet of this is for the main driving route, which is the rest of the parking spot. The setup offers excellent maneuverability because drivers only need to turn a little to get in or out of that space. It's particularly practical in areas where people go in and out of the spaces a lot, so you got a lot of traffic in that one particular
Like on a
space.
city street or something.
Yeah. One notable advantage of the 30-degree space is that all doors are cleared on both sides of the vehicle, and that's important. 45-degree spaces, there's another one. It can fit more cars into the same area. These angles are still tight enough that they're only practical for cars traveling in one direction. You see the arrows in the lots and the parking spaces.
That nobody pays attention to.
Right. Well, I do. However, increased capacity comes at the cost of reduced speed because the cars need to slow down and much more skill to enter those spaces. Essentially, it is a balanced option for the angled parking, which is good to know. 60-degree parking is another one. It's relatively wide, uses a 59-foot 8-inch space for the areas with parking on both sides, typically about 20 feet of the driving space between the parking stalls. Then you've got spaces that gives people much more room to maneuver. It doesn't take up quite as much space as perpendicular parking, but it's somewhat easier to back into that spot. Then you got 90-degree parking, or perpendicular parking, as we discussed, is most common. It's the choice that people like. It's where parking stalls are at the right angle to the road. Perpendicular parking is the worst choice for accessibility outside of an ADA compliant spots, which is the handicap spots. All vehicle doors could be close to one another. Such proximity can make it extremely hard for some people to enter or exit the car. That's why you have some of the grids on the side of the parking spot. Then you got straight parking or parallel parking are common areas where it could be difficult to install a normal
Driving
parking.
test.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They are most common along the edges of the streets, which are very common. Parallel parking spots are usually 19 feet in depth with an average of 4 feet of buffer space on the top of that, which is about 12 feet of driving space next to them. Then you can get into the other specialty parking like semi-trucks, motorcycles, and buses. They each have their own routes of doing that. Semi-trucks are about 30 feet long. Motorcycles, you could put more motorcycles in a regular parking spot than you could in a parking spot designated for a motorcycle. And then you got buses, which are about 60 feet long. So I do this because when I go to we go grocery shopping, or you go to your Walmart or your Target or whatever, and you got people that are pushing their baskets and they just leave them in the middle of the next lane. They don't take them to the place where you're supposed to put your cart. I've seen people put shopping carts in the handicap space as someone's trying to pull in there, and it just drives me nuts. So you want to go out there and just poke them in the eye.
Size matters.
Yeah, size does matter.
Time now here on In Wheel Time to talk about driving destinations, family fun, spring break road trips. Mr. Mars, it's all yours.
Yeah, I picked out like 5 things that would make great family spring break road trips in the United States. I mean, because it's when you're talking about spring in particular, it's more like a vacation. You got scenic highways, roadside stops, and lots of destinations where the kids go, wow. Some of them are more than others, but we'd start with the Grand Canyon and the North Arizona Loop. It's really good to kind of base this out of Flagstaff because then you can drive up to the South Rim and you can kind of overlook the rim and you find lots of paths along the way, and you can be like the Griswolds there on the way. And then you can pick up on stretches of US Route 66 where you go through Williams, and you kind of step back in time with the neon signs, the vintage diners, and a lot of roadside attractions. Of course, you can always stop in Sedona and check out the red rock scenery that you're going to have along the way there. And then from there, we could go to California's Pacific Coast Highway. This comes up a lot because of what it is. I mean, if you're into the coastal scenery, this is it's a legendary drive that's hard to beat. Start in San Francisco, head south towards Big Sur. You got lots of highway hugs the cliffs and the Pacific Ocean, big, beautiful bridges to go across. You can stop in Monterey, check out the Monterey Bay Aquarium there, going down to Santa Cruz, where they've got actually a little amusement park down there to kind of wind up a day of spending the day in the car. But number 3 would be the Great Smoky Mountains Adventure. Now, families that like mountains and wildlife and like to go hiking, it's hard to beat this because the park is so big. You got the scenic drives, you got waterfalls, you got short hiking trips that are great for the younger kids that are out traveling. And you can go down through the Cades Cove Loop. Now, this is where you can see a lot of deer, a lot of other wildlife like turkeys, and even sometimes a few black bears out through there. Now, you can also roll into Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. You got lots of family fun there, lots of amusements, and it's very touristy. You got some aquariums, mountain coasters, lots of restaurants. And of course, if you go in the springtime, because it's spring break, you're going to find a lot of wildflowers that are blooming. Makes things even a lot nicer. The other one would be going back to the other side of the world, Utah's Mighty Five National Parks Loop. Now, if you'd like to get out into the wide open landscapes, this is the place you want to go, because now you're looking at Zion National Park or Bryce Canyon National Park or even the Arches National Park, where you're going to find all this vast scenery of red rocks and canyons and canyon walls, arches that have been thousands of years in the making. And you can actually kind of go hiking out in here because during the summer it gets really hot up in here. So springtime breaks are a good time to go out through these desert highways. The other one that would be the classic Route 66 road trip. Now, if you want to get on one, it's hard to go wrong with Route 66 because you can start in Chicago, go all the way to Santa Monica if you got time. I'd really like to do that one of these days, but never seems to be enough time. So you end up on little stretches of it. Even if you go down through Texas and you hit into the Cadillac Ranch, you're going to find a lot of vintage motels, classic diners. Of course, you got neon signs that are all going to bring you back to that American road culture. And Springfield, Missouri is considered the halfway point, if nothing else. If you make it to there, you could go north for a little ways, you could go west for a little ways. Great place to kind of kick things off from there. And so that's some 5 trips that you could look at for spring break, because it's the best part of it is it's a time that the kids are out of school, the family can get together, the family can then take off for a few days. Don't mess with the airlines, just pack up the kids in the car and take off on a nice road trip.
And buy some $5 a gallon gasoline.
There you go. Hey, Mike, check I just texted you.
Okay.
Check your text.
Check my text.
I did want to remind everybody it's time now for a break here on the In Wheel Time show. Mr. Mars, it's time for break. In Wheel Time Car Talk. We'll continue right after this. The Easter Bunny's coming to the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, April 4th, 8 to 11 a.m., and you're invited too. Bring the kids and grandkids. It's a cruise-in like you've never attended before. With a donation to Shirley's Kids, you'll get a free Lupi Tortilla breakfast taco. There'll be coffee and adult beverages, plus chili pepper trophies for the best hot rod, best modern classic, and best classic. There's no entry fee and no registration. Just bring your ride and the kids. Bad bunnies aren't allowed, but the Easter Bunny will be there, and he'll be full of joy to help make this Tailpipes and Tacos a very special one. Photo opportunities abound. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show will be streaming around the globe, and you could be selected to tell your car story to a global audience. It's the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In Easter Edition, Saturday, April 4th, 8 to 11 a.m. at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, located on 99 the Grand Parkway, just south of I-10, the Katy Freeway in Katy. Make plans now. Lupi Tortilla, East pretty good.
Houston, get ready. Team Gilman is hosting a mega car meet at the North Complex. Acura, Mazda, Subaru. We're collaborating with the Car Meet Network, so you know it's gonna be crazy.
And that's not all. We're gonna be raffling off 6 cars to be sold at $1,000 each. See below for more details.
You're not going to want to miss this, Houston, March 14th. We can't wait to see you here.
That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.